As we used to say in the army, snow was falling, and in the land of fools, work was in full swing. A solid structure, a property, a real estate object, a cottage. This is what employees of the SBI and prosecutors call it, these collapsible container-type fishing sheds, in order to discredit us in the media space and to intimidate us with articles about prison and severe consequences for the state. Ikspark has been under arrest for more than 8 months, and although we won the case regarding the ban on economic activity, and we are no longer sealed, and the police do not prevent access to the investment object, Ikspark, unfortunately, still cannot work normally. Leave the territory, but I have the right to see the territory. No, you don't need it. Leave the area, and of course, no investor will invest in a seized park. And why should an investor take these risks? Why he should invest in Ukraine in such case? So that the prosecutor together with the judge would arrest something or someone again. Then there are countries in the world that are more attractive for investments. Visitors to Ikspark ask, why did we start demolishing some locations where the residents of the capital rested comfortably for dozens of years? Yes, it's true. We did make a decision to dismantle part of the park. And we do this exclusively to convince judges and publicly prove the unworthiness of discrediting and accusations against our company by prosecutors in capital construction. As it is written in the official message of the DBR, 80 real estate objects and cottages. Therefore, I decided to prove that these accusations are baseless. And in order to convince the civil society and drive the judges into a corner, I demolished and rearranged in one day all possible types of light structures that were in the park and physically proved that they are not real estate objects. Dismantling and relocation of the information point and the medical center. The judge and the prosecutor understand that this procedural terror is driving businesses to bankruptcy, and that is why they refuse to lift the seizure from Ikspark for more than 6 months. And this is motivated by the fact that the prosecutor and the SBI investigator claim that there are capital structures in Ikspark, and they refuse to include our official expert conclusions, which have been prepared for a long time, that all structures in Ikspark are not capital structures. And the judge says that they are not experts in matters of construction, and he is ready to wait endlessly for new prosecutorial examinations in the hope that the prosecutors and SBI investigators will put pressure on the experts and get new examinations, according to which they will hand us suspicions and accusations for many years of judicial litigation. Regarding these objects, the ownership of which is not actually registered, because the pretrial investigation is convinced that it is actually real estate, a movable property, although the defender claims that it is a prefabricated structure. The task of criminal proceedings is, among other things, to prevent the commission of a crime. Therefore, for the purpose of further manipulation of these land plots and these objects, in fact, arrest is required. There is a prevention of the commission of a crime. In fact, an arrest is required. Dismantling and moving the container, cottage. And despite the fact that the Ministry of Justice explained that they give 3 months to carry out examinations, in the country of legal arbitrariness, the enterprise can be kept under arrest indefinitely as long as the prosecutor wants it. Judges in collusion with investigators and prosecutors work against investors, so the law does not exist for them. What does an investor do? For example, today we move containers 5 meters. If we were in a legal, civilized state, and if they did not have time to do the examinations within the 3 months set aside by law, then we would be arrested and they would continue to do the examinations themselves, and the enterprise would function normally. 5 months like ours. And if they finally did an examination, and if it was positive, then they would be arrested again, and the case would be brought to court according to the law. I make a video recording that these are not capital structures, and the objects are not real estate objects. We are moving the building to a new site. You can see that it is standing on such trunks, and now the building will be moved to these trunks. We can see that we are not touching any tree. Here are the trees. We are just carefully turning the object around the tree. Now the faucet will turn. We are moving this container, and these gazebos can also be transported. Dismantling part of a temporary structure made of foam plastic. And if the examination did not confirm the prosecutor's accusations, then the state pays the investor damages for these 3 months of restrictions and seizure, and not from budget money, where there are taxpayers, but I would confiscate the property of all investigators, prosecutors, and judges, and their leaders who organize this procedural terror. But such laws are not for our police state of legal arbitrariness. Here, criminal state groups with a deputy, an investigator, a prosecutor, and a judge can frighten an entrepreneur endlessly and, unfortunately, they will never be punished for this. This bright place was the place of development of a new sport, foiling. There is less and less sport in Ukraine. And these accusations that this is an alleged capital construction are simply worthless. You can see it is styrofoam, which was simply very nicely designed. And again, foam plastic. Here is this styrofoam. Dismantling the gazebo with a fireplace. That's why we decided to act radically. In order to demonstrate to the judge the groundlessness of the suspicions, we demolished part of the light buildings, the capital of which they officially declared, especially since we see that the SBI and prosecutors are deliberately delaying the examination, and we have already recorded how they put pressure on the experts. Are you sure that this is capital construction? No. For now, we will draw conclusions. From the video recording, it can be seen how the SBI hints that the expert will say that the construction is capital. Are you sure that this is capital construction? No. For now, we will draw conclusions. But the expert did not give in to the manipulation. We decided to demolish this gazebo completely, and we see that it was a slander. The gazebo is easily removed and can be moved in 3 hours. So this is another minus in terms of comfort for Kyiv residents and elimination of particularly severe consequences for the state, as interpreted by the SBI with the prosecutor and judges. But the gazebo was still beautiful, and here it is already destroyed. The gazebo is completely disassembled. Investigators know that they will never be punished for misleading the court, causing damage, or stopping the company's activities. Therefore, we continue to destroy the myths of prosecutors that there are capital structures and real estate objects in the park. Dismantling of the summer terrace with a cover. And even after we demolished and rearranged the structures, showed a video recording of the demolition and movement of the structures, the judge still could not believe his eyes and said that he would still wait for the examination. But now it is ecological and has again refused to lift the arrest, and an endless number of such examinations can be appointed. And this means that Ikspark will also be arrested indefinitely. Moreover, if they can prejudicially consider any stick stuck in the ground as capital construction, then they will find many environmental violations. And it will be more interesting for them, even than the eco-site after the explosion of the Kakhovskaya HPP. Another gazebo. Our wounded soldiers sat here and looked at the water. I make a full video fixation. First of all, this gazebo is not a capital structure and is not real estate. Therefore, when the wounded ask where their gazebo is, we will give them the phone numbers of those prosecutors and employees of the Security Intelligence Service. I have never seen any wake park in the world with so many inspections. For such a park to be inspected, for example, by the FBI or prosecutors, the owners of the parks would say, "We don't understand why they should check us at all." Dismantling of the cableway. We remove the cable and dismantle the cableway. Children's section, which is 7 years old, where many Ukrainians got on a wakeboard for the first time. All this greatly hindered our government. Now it's all lying on the ground, dismantled. Yes, the people of Kiev lost their favorite locations, and this is a big loss for Ikspark as well. But it is cheaper than proving to biased judges in the country of legal arbitrariness that real estate objects are moving. This is a very good example. Do the same as we do, and let's see how the next events will develop. That is, what else can they find fault with? Shaka to everyone. We will win.